Here we will see RadioButton server control in ASP.NET. RadioButton control is an ASP.NET web server control which is an input control which is used to take input from the user. RadioButton is a kind of toggle control which receives the input from a user in a form of click. In RadioButton, all buttons are connected with the same group name and ID. User can select any one button option from the given radio buttons or its list. Radio button class is derived from the class system.web.ui.webcontrols. The radio button can be created using the design section by dragging and dropping the control from the ASP.NET toolbar window, or it can else create from the markup section using the following code: radio button ID, radio button 1 and run at server. Different properties of ASP.NET radio buttons are ID, which is used to gets or sets the programmatic identifier assigned to the server control. Access key is used to gets or sets the access key that allows you to quickly navigate to the web server control. If auto postback property is set to true, an auto postback will occur whenever the user selects the item from the list. Back color property is used to gets or sets the background color of the web server control. Border color property is used to gets or sets the border color of the web control. Border style property is used to gets or sets the border style of the web server control. Border width property is used to gets or sets the border width of the web server control. Checked property is used to gets or sets a value indicating whether the radio button control is checked. CSS class is used to gets or sets the cascading style sheet class rendered by the web server control. Enabled property is used to gets or sets a value indicating whether the web server control is enabled or not. Font property is used to get the font properties associated with the web server control. Forecolor property is used to gets or sets the foreground color, that is color of text of the web server control. Group name property is used to gets or sets the name of the group that the radio button belongs to. Text property is used to gets or sets the text label associated with the radio button. Text align property is used to gets or sets the alignment of the text label associated with the radio button control. Tab index is used to gets or sets the tab index of the web server control. Tooltip is used to gets or sets the text displayed when the mouse pointer hovers over the web server control. Visible property is used to gets or sets a value that indicates whether a server control is rendered as a UI on the page. And width property is used to gets or sets the width of the web server control. Different methods for radio buttons are data bind, which binds a data source to the invoked server control and its child control. Dispose method enables a server control to perform final cleanup before it is released from the memory. Equals method determines whether the specified object is equal to the current object. Focus method sets the input focus to the control. OnLoad method raises the load event. And toString method returns a string that represents the current object. Different events for radio buttons are checked changed, which occurs when the value of checked property changes between post to the server. Data binding event occurs when the server control binds to a data source. Disposed event occurs when a server control is released from the memory, which is the last stage of the server control lifecycle. Init event occurs when the server control is initialized, which is the first step in its lifecycle. Load event occurs when the server control is loaded into the page object. Pre-render event occurs after the control object is loaded but prior to rendering. And unload event occurs when the server control is unloaded from memory.